I can't quite put my finger on you.
I think Shapeshifter was the first song that I actually wrote for the whole album. I wrote it in 2019. I was on the road and like traveling a bunch, and I had been wanting to work with Salam, who's like a genius, for so long, because he's done all of Amy Winehouse's stuff, and like I'm the biggest Amy Winehouse fan in the world. So I've been meaning to work with him for a while. I met him in a parking lot a couple years prior and was like, I need to work with you. And so we exchanged numbers back then, and then it wasn't until 2019 where I happened to be in Miami. I went into his studio, which is also his house, where Amy Winehouse wrote both of her albums, which was like such a huge full circle moment for me. It was like the craziest thing. And I remember like I didn't really like it. Like when I first wrote it, I was like, oh, I can do better. I don't know how I feel about this. I was like really, really sick that day. I had, I think, like strep throat or something crazy, and I just wasn't feeling it, but I didn't want to like ruin my chances with Salam, because he's like such a huge idol of mine. Like I had like this whole disclaimer for him, like, listen, today is not a testament of my, you know, of how much I can write or anything. I just feel like I'm not, you know, feeling that well. If I suck today, I'm sorry. And he's like, no, like, you know, let's just start with like the basics, like, you know, what's your background, like where's your family from? And I started talking about Italy and being Italian, and he's like, oh, cool. And he had a guitar in his hand while we were talking. As he was like asking more questions, he was like playing this lick on guitar. Like as we were talking, he was like writing at the same time, which is crazy. He's just like a genius. And he was playing what is now the lick, the little bum 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 in Shapeshifter. And I was like, what is that you're doing? He's like, you know, I'm inspired by, you know, you being Italian, and I wanted to like do something that sounds like The Godfather. And I was like, this is so cool. And then so from that, I started thinking of like, okay, Godfather, Italian, like what can I write about here? And I just like pictured like this like old Italian film, and like this like, you know, love triangle and this love affair and this like mansion or something. I just like really just envisioned this whole world that like didn't exist from this one little guitar riff, and that's how it kind of came to be. And I like sprinkled in a lot of what I was feeling personally into these characters that didn't exist, and into this fake storyline, because I was kind of, you know, a little bit bummed about a situation that I was going through, and my feelings were kind of hurt that day. So I was like, I'm gonna put these two worlds into one and create this like fantasy story, and then that's how it started. I was on the road, had forgotten about it, and I did this session just me and Salam, so nobody from my team was there. My best friend who was traveling with me wasn't there. And then I was sitting in my dressing room one day, and she was like, what did you ever end up doing with Salam? And I was like, oh, like this song, I feel like it's not that great. I don't know if I did it justice. And then I played it for her on my phone, and she like freaked out and like called my dad and my tour manager, and she's like, you guys have to hear this. And I was like, okay. And I played it for them, and they all like freaked out. And if it weren't for them, I would have just like probably scrapped it or forgotten about it. But I think their reaction to it really made me realize that it could have been something cool. So then that's when I went in later to finish it. All right, so let's see what we got for track number 5, Shapeshifter. I love this. I think you guys will definitely get this reference because it was in one of my music videos, Spaghetti Inside Jello. This is a really fun one. I don't even think you guys got this reference in the Sweet Dream video. This is kind of an allusion to what was to come with the Shapeshifter video. I mean, it kind of was a little bit of a reference to, you know, being kind of delirious and doing stupid things when you're exhausted, but it's also kind of a reference to Shapeshifter, because this song was heavily inspired by Italian culture and Italian film culture, and so the spaghetti is a reference to that. Of course, I'm a stereotypical Italian. I love spaghetti, I love food, and so I wanted this to be a representation of Shapeshifter because it's spaghetti. Yeah, when I was in the studio with Salam, we really wanted to pay a little tribute to my Italian culture and, you know, my love for Italian music and Italian film, and Salam's love for Italian film and music as well. So yeah, I thought it would only be right to do this. And it's gross. I'm not gonna eat it because it looks terrible, but it looks really cool. I mean, not to eat, but just to like play with. So there we go. I'm gonna put it back inside. Be gone. Don't want to see that ever again. Let's move on to track number 6.